I have to ask you though, when your initial reaction previously to are you going to do family law was like, no way. Why? What was your perception of family law then?
That's such a great question. And I'm glad you asked it because I do remember why. So on the bar exam, they test family law and divorce is tested on the bar exam. So I took that class in law school because I wanted to be prepared for the bar exam. And I just remember the people that were in the class, the conversations that we had, the opinions. I mean, I don't like to say it, but a lot of men still had these antiquated opinions of women and their value. And I just didn't want to be associated or around those types of discussions. It just didn't feel, I don't know, it just didn't feel like something exciting or something that I wanted to do. Now, all these years later, I have a very different perspective on it. Again, I didn't look to do this area. I was married a long time ago and got divorced. And that's actually what piqued my interest in doing this area of work. Essentially, I don't want anyone else to have to go through the painful, excruciating divorce that I went through. I mean, I had very short marriage. It should not have taken as long as it did. There should not have been so much motion practice in my divorce, but there was. And I'm grateful that the courts were there because I feel like the courts kind of protected me and helped me during that difficult time. So when it's necessary, I think it's great for us to have the court system and have that powerfulness, to really rein things in and get things done. But I don't think that it's necessary for everybody to have that experience, to go through that turmoil and the stress and all the emotional toll that comes with it.
Well, I'm sure that is music to a lot of people's ears. But I have to ask you and just talk about whatever you really feel
Mhm.
comfortable talking about, but what was it about your divorce that had it that way? And then the other question is, looking back on things, why do you feel like there were things that could have been done differently to avoid some of that?
That's really great. I didn't want to fight with my ex. I remember, before the breakup, like before I left, there we had a moment in the kitchen where he actually said, like, we can just part as friends. That would have been great. I actually would have been completely open to that. However, when I there came a time where I felt I needed to leave and just I picked up and left, and I'm the one that initiated the divorce. I don't know exactly what was going on in his mind. I still don't know. We've never spoken since it was over. I can only imagine that perhaps he was very hurt just thinking about the way that he thinks. It might have been a little bit of a blow below the belt to him that a woman left him, that kind of thing. And maybe that's where it came from. But he was so angry and so mean. I had hired a law firm that was very mediation friendly before I even really knew what mediation was. And the law firm they invited he and his lawyer to have a meeting with us, and if like a half an hour later they were escorting them out, I was in a whirlwind. I didn't understand what was going on at the time, and I'm grateful for the counsel. They really protected me. But mediation wasn't going to work in my situation. I wish that it could have. I would have loved for it to go down that way. But he really put me, or it felt like he put me through a lot during that time. In hindsight, I see it was very short. It was 6 months from the time I filed to the time the judge told us, we got to get this done. But at the time, 6 months when I think I was barely 30 years old. It just felt like a lifetime to me. I just wanted my freedom. I wanted to be done. I wanted to be finished. We didn't have any kids or property or anything together. There was really nothing that should have been holding up this divorce. It should have been over in a couple of hours, but again, if had I not had that quote unquote rough experience, or difficult time, if you want to call it, it was probably the worst time in my life. There were a lot of uh, there were things about myself that I discovered about myself during that time that I didn't know that I was as powerful or had the ability to handle myself in certain ways. And so that was great because now I got to discover my power. I got to discover a lot about myself and my independence. Um, and I also discovered that this was something that really matters to me and that a lot of people need support, they need counsel, they need help and guidance to get through this process, because it is a scary process and there's a lot going on there and you don't know what you don't know, and that's scary.